show. Thank you for taking your
Good
Friday.
to be here.
The first thing every totalitarian regime does, along with confiscation and mutilation of reality, is confiscation of history and confiscation of culture.
我前面是病毒，我后边是中国的法律和行政力量。但是我会振作起来，只要我活在这个城市，我会继续做我的报道。我只说我看见的，我听见的。妈逼，我连死都不怕，我怕你共产党吗？
一条路把它隔开了西区和东。
大家好，我是秋实的妈妈。今天晚上，秋实说她要去方舱医院，之后呢，晚上7、8点钟到现在2点了，凌晨2点，一直是失联状态，和她联系不上。我在这里恳请广大网友，尤其是武汉的朋友，帮我个忙，帮我找找秋实。
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Welcome, everybody.
Greetings upon greetings upon
Lord,
greetings.
Dave.
Wagwan.
Oh, it's okay. And? Slight adjustments.
Switch arrow.
Is that better there, sir? All right. Welcome, everybody. Now you guys can hear us properly.
There you go.
Welcome,
There you go.
everyone, to A Better Tomorrow.
Yeah.
On MyTCNTV Network. Before we go any further, I want to remind everybody, if this information is doing something for you, if it's bringing you some enlightenment and empowerment and knowledge is power, don't forget to, of course, like the video. Definitely subscribe to MyTCNTV Network. Things are always happening on this page. If you guys really want to hear and see censorship in its realest form, follow MyTCNTV. You will definitely see that. And at least you can watch the videos and see why they're censoring us. And of course, share this. This is important. The whole goal of what we do is to share information so that more people have the knowledge, so they have the power.
Yeah. Plus,
works out.
feel free to reach out to us by means, whether it's IG, whether it's, of course, email, by means. Yeah, reach out. Let us know, man.
If you have questions, if you want some of the research, everything, because we have a lot.
Send us a story.
Sending us a story. Listen, we have the ability to do this.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, if you guys are not watching this, if you're just watching on the live and not seeing we just showed a video of Chinese journalists who've gone missing because they stood up against the government talking about this COVID thing. So the fact that we can do this still is good. So we're going to keep doing it.
Yes.
Journalists are under attack. And this is something that we really, really need to look into. So there's continued monitoring of the media, because we've been watching the media a lot, and it's showing that there is some collateral damage happening.
Okay.
And people are silencing journalists. We did a small thing on this maybe 2 segments ago or 2 Fridays ago. So definitely, again, go back and check some of our shows if you don't get a chance. But there's some stuff happening in West Africa.
Oh,
so let's go there first. So COVID-19 incites more attacks on journalists, media houses in West Africa. So the 10 journalists and 2 media houses in 6 West African countries have suffered physical attacks. Threats, detentions, dismissals over various incidents related to the COVID-19 pandemic. And this started around May, and it's been happening straight through till August, so as of recently. So in April, the MFWA reported a series of media repressions related to the pandemic recorded between March and April 2020. One thing when I see this, I don't feel as bad because I know that it's not just us being censored.
Right.
And I'm hoping by showing you guys this, whoever's watching, that they're seeing that this is something. Why are they censoring? What they're making up all these things for why they're doing it. But so let's go to Liberia. So in Liberia, on May 7th, security officers enforcing the COVID-19 restrictions at the slipway checkpoint in Monrovia. And I'm going to tell you now, there's a lot of things I'm going to say wrong. I'm going to try my best. I really am.
That's all you can do.
So they accosted Christopher Walker, a journalist with Front Page Africa, who was on his way home from work. And Walker produced his professional card and his pass to show that he was an actual journalist. And the police rejected it. And they insisted on some type of new pass called a controversial pass that was only approved by the deputy minister. And if you didn't have that, then you couldn't be doing journalism.
Oh, wow.
So the officers then assaulted him and detained him.
Yeah.
So this has been happening. And I went back to May because this has been happening over time. It's happening everywhere. They're silencing people who are saying, something's not right.
Yeah.
So there's also 8 Liberian journalists. So on May 20th, the head of the Liberian Drug Enforcement Agency, Jerry Blamo, accused journalist Sonny Blair of breaking the COVID-19 curfew and attacked him.
Wow.
Yeah, so he broke curfew and he got attacked for that. So Sonny Blair worked for the Development Communication Network, and that's FM 91.3 in Sesto, Rivercrest County. He'd come out of the premises of the radio station to buy a drink. That's it. And he got beat up.
Nuts.
Okay, they're assaulting people because people are outside now on curfew. Does that sound like quarantine to you? The third and final violation in Liberia was related to the COVID-19, happened on May 23rd with Trojan, so I'll say this name, Kaizola, a journalist with Fabric Radio, who was beaten and taken into detention by the police for, guess what, Dave? Guess what? Not wearing a mask. Now police are beating people up for not wearing masks. That's a little extreme, don't you think?
They've been doing stuff like that out there.
Extreme.
In South Africa, it was really rough at one point. Very rough. Especially if you were outside not wearing a mask, it was very rough.
Oh, yeah, because you speak to a lot of people in South Africa.
Yeah.
So you know what's happening over there.
Yeah.
It's crazy, guys.
Absolutely.
So let's go over to Nigeria. So on June 4th, Saint Menpamo Onitsha, and I'm sure I didn't say that right,
okay,
but I tried, of Niger Live TV was detained by Nigerian's Department of State Services, so the government again, after he reported the collapse of a COVID-19 isolation center in Kogi State. On August 3rd, some 4 police officers physically assaulted Siruku Obarais.
We'll go with that.
You gotta help me, Dave. You're better at this than I am. Okay? A correspondent for the privately owned Daily Post newspaper, while he was covering the enforcement of a COVID-19 restriction, he was attacked by the officers for just covering it. Just for, I guess, like how people like hold up their phone now, and when police are shooting people, same thing. So now he got beat up for it, just for doing
Just for doing his job.
his job. Mauritania.
Yes, Mauritania.
Mauritania. So on May 3rd, the authorities arrested a blogger. His name is Momu Olud Bosoma over a tweet in which he criticized as the erratic enforcement of COVID-19 lockdown in the district of Taris Zamor. Bosoma, who is also the correspondent of the news website Al Kabar Info, was released after spending 12 days in detention. So he got detained too.
Yeah.
Just for making a tweet. Like that's
Totalitarian state all over the world.
Wow.
Right? I mean, like...
tweeting.
Yeah, very much.
You're
right?
getting detained for that.
You can see in regards to like how much the Western influence has shaped, right, policies, and more importantly in regards to like what's taking place right now in regards to like really being authoritarian, right?
Guys,
Nuts.
this is crazy.
It's nuts.
It's again, the fact that we're still able to do this and talk about this is
For now. Until they want to go ahead and actually, pass some more bills. Like
For
they did in
now.
Alberta.
Okay, we'll leave that alone. So on June 2nd, the police arrested Salma Mint Toba, the alleged author of a series of audio recordings questioning aspects of the government's response to COVID-19. Notably, she accused the authorities of inflating the number of infections. So you mean that's not just something that they're saying over here?
And as you mentioned that, to piggyback on South Africa as well, they're saying the same thing, right? The numbers may have been inflated, right? The deaths, of course, right? So, I mean, it's taking place. I mean, I guess everybody's following suit from the CDC on the States,
Well,
right?
that's what I'm hoping people are starting to realize the patterns that are happening, right? The
Yeah.
things that are happening in one place are happening in other places.
Yeah.
And you have to think about it. Is this planned? Is this why they've been calling it a plandemic? Because of how everything's just kind of following suit. So her and two other reporters and journalists were arrested. I hope you guys are getting the whole point here. Like I have, okay, you know what? I'll do the last one. So the last one we're going to do is Gambia. Okay. So on June 21st, the police detained Ibu and Keita, an editor and camera operator with the privately owned Gambian Talents Television, after they spotted him filming their crackdowns on protests. So the police were arresting people who were protesting against the country's COVID-19 restrictions. So my question here, and a question I think I really want everyone to think about this last segment, and we'd love to hear, when you do see this, the comments that you have about this. Why are journalists being accosted, assaulted, and detained for just doing their job? That's what we're supposed to do. What does the government not want people to hear? Remember, our whole premise here is the idea of freedom of speech. This is not all countries have that liberty.
Right.
Okay. We happen to. But even here, it's happening on again, Canada loves to give all their dosages of everything, like racism, fascism. It's always like teaspoons. No, not tablespoons. Teaspoons, so that you can barely feel that it's happening. But it's still happening here. When we get back, we're going to take a look at some spoon feedings that are happening in Quebec, which is very, very close to home, guys. We'll see you soon on A Better Tomorrow.
In terms of my journey began because of the fact that I created a massive multimedia platform which is very well known. You might have heard of Dancing with Stars, Strictly Come Dancing, You Are What You Eat, 10 years younger. Now there's a lot of controversy behind those shows because I'm the creator of those shows and I had a massive case, and that really was my awakening into the main stage that we're seeing now. They've been pushing social distancing
Yes.
in a huge way. But what people don't understand is the reason that they are socially distancing people is so that the cameras can actually be able to fix and build profile on everybody. And the reason why we are at such a critical time where we need everybody to be reporting this is because they are marching in using these draconian laws and measures to usher in what will be Nazi Germany slavery 2.0.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for taking your
Good to
Friday.
be here.
The first thing every totalitarian regime does, along with confiscation and mutilation of reality, is confiscation of history and confiscation of culture.
Of course, the best way is to try to convince the population to respect the directives. In some cases, maybe we can eventually do something in houses. But at this point, we're not looking for that short term. I think that it's important that in public places that the directives be respected. But at this point, I don't plan and I don't hope to have to go in each house. So I'm asking the population, please, look at the number of cases, look at the virus. It's serious. So please don't do big parties without respecting the directives.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. So close to home.
Very much.
Did you hear that
Next
small?
door.
Do you hear that small little like thing he threw in there? Where I really don't want to go into your home, but we may have to go into your homes.
We'll see.
What is happening here?
We'll see how much he doesn't want to go into the home.
Okay.
So that was the premier of Quebec, Mr. Francois Legault, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly or not, but however, though, we'll continue. So the Quebec's premier says that his government is looking at ways the state can more easily intervene in private homes to stop the spread of COVID-19, despite a law preventing police from entering a residence without a warrant.
So this is going against the complete law.
Absolutely.
Great.
So private gatherings are the main source of COVID-19 transmission in Quebec, Francois Legault said. Even though Francis and Francois is the same thing, right?
It's like Simon and Simone.
There you go, right? As the province reported 303 new infections and 3 more deaths attributed to the novel coronavirus. It marks the first time since early June the province has surpassed 300 daily confirmed infections.
So the numbers are going up there too. Interesting.
It's hard for the government, for the police, or whoever it is to control the situation inside homes, Legault told a news conference. He said that the Public Security Department and prosecutors are looking at ways the state can intervene more easily inside private dwellings. The province permits private indoor gatherings up to 10 people, while up to 250 people are allowed to gather indoors for a public organized event.
Outdoors.
Is that outdoor?
Yeah. Did I put indoors?
You put indoors. Okay.
You can't have 250 people. We don't want to give you guys false information. That is outdoors, guys. Public gatherings, 250 outdoors.
There you go, outdoors.
Yes.
All right.
Like that. Okay? That's how it can look.
Stay in your circle.
Stay in your circles. Don't come out of your circles.
All right, so in Quebec, to get into a home, it takes a warrant, Legault said. So it's not simple. But we're excluding anything at this moment. It's also easy to intervene in homes. Sorry, it's not easy to intervene in homes, and obviously there are a lot of homes. They're not going to go to everybody's house and knock on everybody's door, and I think there would be a constitutional problem if they started random checking on people's homes, Gray said about the police. But if there's a complaint If there is noise, then they can come and verify and fine people if necessary. Right? Quebecers can expect a certain degree of privacy even during the COVID-19 pandemic, he said. But at the same time, it doesn't exclude the possibility of government intervention.
So we're going to talk about language for a second here. So let's talk about that word but for a second. But is what you call an eraser word. And I'm going to explain what that means. Whenever you start a sentence, whenever you're in the middle of a sentence and you add that word but, it erases and cancels out everything that came before that. That is basic English. So this is how they try to use words against you guys, because not everyone understands that. That word but,
however,
that means the thing I just said before, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Don't.
Absolutely.
Just cut that out of your ear.
For real.
I want to draw something, I want to really hit home on something that you mentioned here. He said that it's not easy to intervene in homes, and obviously there are a lot of homes. There's something that people have to understand. There is not nearly as much of them as there is of us.
Yes.
And they know that, which is why they have to play the games, guys, that they are playing. These are mind games. This is psychological warfare, guys. You guys can pretend it's not happening all you want. But every single day, all they do is play on this. So they don't have to do anything and restrain us, because they can't restrain all of us. There's too many of us. There's a lot of homes. And all those homes have a lot of people. Oh, boy.
No,
Anyhow.
That's Quebec politics for you.
Let's come to Toronto.
Please.
You know, it's more of a federal issue, I guess. But it's interesting, nevertheless, I mean. So our Prime Minister, lovely Prime Minister, and CMO, so the Chief Medical Officer, they're being sued for extreme and unnecessary COVID-19 measures. So something I want to talk about with this is the fact that everywhere there seems to be this redundant statement of these COVID measurements being extreme. Everywhere. I just read it. In the first segment we just went over, a whole bunch of people were fighting for the same thing.
Yes.
So renowned Canadian constitutional lawyer Rocco Galati has filed a claim with the Superior Court of Justice in Canada on behalf of his clients and 7 other plaintiffs, all which are obviously not named, because we already know if they were named, they'd either end up dead or end up in a lot of trouble. That's just how gangster our governments can be sometimes. Chinese government, Port Artie's still missing. Tons of them are missing. So, just saying. Complaints including, you know who else is involved in this list? So there's, of course, Theresa Tam.
Okay.
She's being sued too. And the beloved Premier of Ontario, Mr. Doug Ford, is included in that lawsuit. And there's a few others that are included in there. There's more. So the complaints include business closures, the mandating of masks and social distancing rules, which the group argues are extreme, unwarranted, and unjustified. The responses to this pandemic. They're not scientific in any way, nor are they medically based or proven. They also bring forth evidence stating the government mask mandates can actually cause physical and psychological harm. Guys, there is research out there saying this whole mask thing that's happening, it's not good for us. It's not. I know. Guys, pay attention. You have to wake up. It's not good for you. And it's not just Dave and I saying it. A lot of people who have way bigger credentials than Dave and I are saying this, okay? So the group accuses the WHO, mainstream media, and the federal government for spreading false alarm about this COVID-19 pandemic. So why are they suing the Prime Minister? Because people, guys, we're waking up. There's people actually waking up. And they know that there's something not right about this pandemic. They know something's up. So questions are being asked. Doctors, researchers, scientists are coming out. People are talking. And if you pay attention, guys, if you pay just a little bit closer attention, you'll see yourselves that something's just not right. So an article published, and we're still sticking on this, but we kind of want to go again. I like to take this all over the world so people can start seeing this puzzle that's being put together. So An article published in the British Medical Journal has suggested that quarantine measures in the United Kingdom as a result of the new coronavirus may have already killed more UK seniors than the coronavirus did during the peak. Okay? So quarantine killed more people than the virus itself at its peak.
Interesting.
Okay, that's a scientific study, guys. I put it up there, and I'm going to say this to everybody. Anyone watching, if you want any of this research, I will send it to you. And I won't just send you one. I will send you plenty. So if you need it to see it for yourself, just ask us.
Right.
We're here, okay? John P. A. Lonidis.
That's an I, right? That's an I.
Lonidis.
Ionidis.
Ionidis?
Yeah, it's an I.
I'm not wearing my glasses,
I
in my
noticed.
defense. So a professor of medicine and epidemiology at Stanford University has said that the infection fatality rate is close to 0. I want you guys to understand this. The infection fatality rate is close to 0, guys. Fatality rate is close to 0. What did I just say?
Fatality.
Fertility?
No, you said fatality.
I feel like I was playing like, what's that game?
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Sorry. I went back a little bit. Anyhow, long story short, not enough people aren't dying from this. That's what that means. Okay? Plain English. No science there.
Repeat dinner again, once again, that statement, especially under the age limit or age
Okay,
count.
I'm going to go there. Yes. So I will repeat that. So he said that the infection fatality, right?
There you go.
Rate
All right.
is close to 0% for people under the age of 45. Okay? It's close to 0. So all these numbers we're seeing ramped up. Have they talked about if anyone's died in the last couple weeks? I have questions for anyone. If anyone has an answer to that, can someone tell me, has anyone died? Have they reported any deaths in Ontario? Or just cases, people getting sick? Okay. Michael Levitt, so he's a physicist and a professor of structural biology at Stanford University, criticized the WHO as well as Facebook for censoring different information and informed perspective regarding the coronavirus. He said, and these are his words, the level of stupidity going on here is amazing. I'm going to put that in a tweet because I love it.
Yeah.
Now, these are all well-known scientists, people who have been doing this. And you know what? You can say they're going to bring their scientists, so other people are going to bring their scientists. That's how they do these things, right?
Yeah.
But I want you guys to, again, we're not telling you what side to choose because it's not about that. We're just telling you guys to do your research. Some of you guys haven't even done that. So you don't even know what side to choose if you were going to make a choice.
Absolutely.
Okay. When we come back, we're going to actually give you an update on, it's very interesting how things happen. There's a show that we talked about a few weeks ago called Cutie. There's an update on that I want to give you guys. It was said to have crossed the line of being inappropriate when they tried to bring it to Netflix, and a lot of people have shot this show down. And parents, I think you may want to stay tuned to this because Dave's going to tell you guys about the fact that your child's presence in school can be seen as informed consent to get a vaccine. So we'll see you guys soon on, I don't even know, can we call it A Better Tomorrow anymore? We want to, so we'll say it, A Better Tomorrow. Welcome to the show. Thank you for taking your Friday.
Good to be here.
The first thing every totalitarian regime does, along with confiscation and mutilation of reality, is confiscation of history and confiscation of culture.
terms of my journey began because of the fact that I created a massive multimedia platform, which is very well known. You might have heard of Dancing with Stars, Strictly Come Dancing, You Are What You Eat, 10 years younger. Now, there's a lot of controversy behind those shows because I'm the creator of those shows, and I had a massive case, and that really was my awakening into the main stage that we're seeing now. They've been pushing social distancing in a huge way, but what people don't understand is the reason that they are socially distancing people is so that the cameras can actually be able to fix and build profile on everybody. And the reason why we are at such a critical time where we need everybody to be reporting this is because they are marching in using these draconian laws and measures to usher in what will be Nazi Germany slavery 2.0.
Mr. Van Wagenen, as it pertains to count 1, a first-degree felony, aggravated sexual abuse of a child. How do you plead?
Guilty. He took his first opportunity to acknowledge, to admit to the conduct, and to waive his rights to challenge the evidence or put the victim through the ordeal of testifying in court or any of that. He wanted to just acknowledge wrongfulness and get this taken care of.
Are you ready on any matters?
Sorry to say.
Crazy stuff. So welcome back, guys. This is actually just an update from our last one. If you're just joining us, welcome to A Better Tomorrow.
Yes.
Of course, if you are just joining us, don't forget, I have to tell you guys, remind you guys, like, share, subscribe, guys, to MyTCNTV Network. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Brighteon, we're everywhere. If you want to actually watch the entire video, you probably should go to Brighteon because not everywhere else. We always get fact-checked. All the time now. Like when I go to the MyTCN Facebook page, it's just like fact checked. Every video is fact checked. And I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, what happened to freedom of speech?
We've probably been censored already.
Yeah, I'm sure we have been, or whatever. So the Sundance Film Festival co-founder, and I'm going to explain why I'm telling you guys this in a minute. He was just jailed for child sex abuse. So there's a reason why that's so important. So Cuties from French filmmaker Maïmouna Doucouré, I hope I said that right, premiered at the 2019 Sundance Film Festival, where it won the World Cinema Dramatic Directed Award. Okay? So I want to remind you, the Sundance Film Festival co-founder was just jailed for child sex abuse. And this film won an award. The film is based on Dakota's short film Mamans about an 8-year-old child furious when her polygamous dad invites his new bride into the Parisian apartment, which won the Short Film International Fiction Jury Award at Sundance in 2016. So, per the Sundance description of Cuties, and this is how they described it, Cuties, the film, nimbly depicts the tweens' youthful energy and vulnerabilities while exploring their fumbling eagerness to be identified as sexualized. What? Is this what's happening? Oh my God. They close off their thing by saying that the film has an immensely watchable, vivacious young cast. Can you put that one up there again, please? I want them to see that last part because I think I included it in there. It's okay. Don't worry about it. So, the facts. Sterling Van Wagenen
You probably done better than me, babe.
Co-founder of the Sundance Film Festival, is currently serving 6 years to life for child sex abuse. How many people in the entertainment, political, financial elite are involved in this type of activity? Guys, it's coming out more and more and more. Pedophilia is a real thing. And a lot of these people who you don't think is doing it, people who are endorsing films like Cuties, talking about how they're a vivacious young cast. Guys. So last year, Sterling, the co-founder, film festival director and producer, did I just already say that? So he was convicted?
Yeah.
I did say that, right?
Yes.
So he was convicted for touching a young girl on 2 occasions between 2013 and 2015, when she was 7 and when she was 9 years old. And the sentencing judge said in court that he hoped the parole board would keep the 72-year-old, 72, he's been doing this, he got to 72, he's been doing this his whole life.
This is just the only one that came out that he got caught with.
That he got caught with.
Who knows what's been happening?
And they're only keeping him in for 6 years.
Jeez, man.
Although these events transpired last year, I feel like it was still very important to bring attention to them, given the fact that a lot of high-profile people within Hollywood, Dave, politics, they all seem to be battling these types of accusations and charges. This is not the only one. This has been happening since the whole Me Too movement, even with, they were more sexual assault with older people, but some of that was for younger people too with Weinstein. No, it wasn't just all older. There was younger as well. There was like a collection.
He was taking advantage of everybody.
Yeah, he kind of really was. Man, woman, child.
If you name it, anybody that came into his office.
So let's talk about someone else. And I find it interesting and scary, the fact that a lot of these pedophiles are involved in, well, it's not that strange, very high child type industries. Mm-hmm. So, for example, Michael Laney, the 73-year-old ex-vice president of the Walt Disney Corporation, has been jailed for sexually abusing a 7-year-old while being accused of multiple other rapes and sexual abuse cases. Mm-hmm. Many children in this space feel there has been a deliberate agenda to sexualize children as well as to normalize pedophilia.
Yes. Remember, a couple shows ago, we talked about now it being an actual sexual orientation, right? We talked about in regards to now
normalizing it.
Yeah, the rules
are
in California.
Changing.
In California,
There's
a 10-year gap.
There's a 10-year gap now that you can have sex with a
gosh.
child. So if someone's 25, they can have sex with a 15-year-old. If you're 20, you can have sex with a 10-year-old, and it's okay.
Yeah.
That's normalization of something, guys. So there's one last picture I wanted to show you guys. And it might be disturbing to some. I'm going to be honest.
It's disturbing for me. I tell you that right now. So
let's throw up that picture, please. So what is going on here? Is this Victoria's Secrets for 5-year-olds? Is that what this is? Because that's what it looks like to me. The same thing some grown-ass women are doing in bra and underwear. They're putting 5-year-olds in that. Why is Hollywood all of a sudden, so inundated with strange pedophilia symbols like that? Why have so many from within the industry been talking about this issue for so long? Why are mainstream media outlets like New York Times promoting the idea that pedophilia should not be seen as a crime, normalizing it? We are slowly coming to terms with the fact that this just happens amongst them. This is what they've been doing, are doing, and will continue to do. And now they're making sure, you know what I appreciate about them? Is they can't say they didn't tell you. Here we are. Look at us. Protect your babies, people. In Brampton this weekend, I believe that, so apparently Brampton, coming back home, is a growing hub for child trafficking and human trafficking. Yeah, and there's some community leaders coming together to talk about that.
Good.
So
good for them.
Protect your babies, guys.
Please, please. So the WHO now deems your child's presence in school as informed consent to vaccinate them.
So you heard that? Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if your children just show up, if you don't pay attention and your children go to school, they're getting vaccinated.
Yeah. So the World Health Organization, which is the medical epicenter of the depopulation lobby, now considers your child's presence in school as informed consent to vaccinate that child. Depopulation by vaccination, right, now fully outside the law and will sterilize, sicken, and dumb down every child on earth, but the children of the depopulation lobby members who don't vaccinate their children simply looking the other way. Right. So there are three different ways in regards to how consent can be derived. Right. The first, which is a formal written consent. It's pretty straightforward.
That's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Right. The second is a verbal consent.
Yes.
Right.
You can vaccinate my child.
However, though, the one that we're looking at right now is called implied consent.
Lord Jesus.
Right?
This is a tricky one.
We'll define this. Right. It's defined as the following: by which parents are informed of imminent vaccination through social mobilization and communication, sometimes including letters directly addressed to the parents. So basically what they're saying here is this, right? If they've already sent out notice to the home and there is no response coming back, and you continue to send your child to school, they will go ahead and vaccinate the child.
And they don't care if you can't speak English or not. That's not their business. They sent you a letter.
Right. We're not making this up, family. You can actually, there's a document, there's an actual PDF document that you can find on the WHO website.
That's right, guys. They have your best interests at heart.
Right. The article which we've taken the information from says the following. So subsequently, the physical presence of the child or adolescent with or without an accompanying parent at the vaccination session is considered to imply consent. I'm going to repeat this one more time, just in case you don't want to hear it tonight.
Parents, open your ears.
Right. Subsequently, the physical presence of the child or adolescent with or without an accompanying parent at the vaccination session is considered to be implied consent. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I have something really quick to say. When you guys get a chance, definitely go and pick up the Toronto Caribbean newspaper this week. I wrote a disturbing article about how WikiHow put out an article teaching our children to lie to us so that they can get a vaccine. I want you to hear me again. It's called How to Get a Vaccine Without Parental Consent. And they went through steps, y'all. Through steps.
What I like is the imagery that you use between the steps.
Well, you have to read this article.
Oh, man.
It's very targeted.
Oh, wow.
Very targeted.
Yes, very much so.
Go ahead.
Right? So, I mean, there it is right there, right? Oh, unreal.
Yeah.
I think there's a link directly to the site in the article as well.
I'm sure there is.
Right?
If there's not, Grant will put one in for you.
Don't worry. We'll find. We'll definitely. Just look it up, family. That's for sure, man. You know, it's interesting, especially, you know, when we report this, right? And Quebec has just now had an outbreak in one of the schools where they've actually tested everybody, right? Whether, I'm not sure we're going to say how they derived the consent or not. However, though, the WHO, and not the WHO as we know is Wu-Tang, right?
Not the WHO.
No, not the WHO, right? So what they can go ahead and come up with is just diabolical, right? And this is standard right across the world. This is global standard because
World Health.
They have went ahead, right, and actually listed examples, right, from different areas of the world who actually follow this practice, right? Unreal. Once again, I'm going to repeat this once again so you know, I want this really to sink this in, right? Subsequently, the physical presence of the child or adolescent with or without an accompanying parent at the vaccination session is considered to be implied consent. Family, protect your babies.
Guys, we're going to end on a positive note. Yeah, end the article. Go read this article.
Please read the article.
Read this article to tell how we need to listen. WikiHow needs to get checked and hard. How dare you? How
Share the
dare
article.
you? How dare you teach our children how to lie to our parents, guy? Listen, we used to do that stuff just because we
wanted to go outside.
Okay? You are telling them to go and do something that could hurt them. Like, are they crazy? And to be making up stories and to get other parents involved in the stories that you're making. Guys, crazy. So when we come back, we're going to actually talk about something positive and uplifting. The fact that, you know what? There is, I wouldn't say a cure, but there's a preventative measure. Vitamin D, guys. We've been talking about this. Vitamin D, vitamin C. And we're going to end the show talking about the fact that we, again, are not the only ones talking about the fact that this coronavirus thing, something's not right. There are doctors gathering from all over the world, and they've put together a committee. We're going to give you that information so you guys can check it out for yourselves. But we'll see you soon on Better Tomorrow.
Last night, the president retweeted this video to his 84 million followers from a press conference she and a group of doctors did yesterday at the Capitol.
I came here to Washington, D.C. to tell America, nobody needs to get sick. This virus has a cure.
I'm from West Africa, Cameroon. I went to medical school in Nigeria. So there's been a lot of confusion about whether I'm Nigerian or what. I'm actually from Cameroon, West Africa. I went to medical school in Nigeria. I graduated medical school. I did general medicine in Nigeria. Then I came over to the US maybe about 28, 29 years ago. And I did residency in pediatrics, but that's the residency program I could find. So when I finished my pediatric residency, I opened a pediatric clinic. I moved to Louisiana, opened a pediatric clinic. I also continued to work in the emergency room, keeping my general medicine skills and developing some really very critical skills, which have been very, very good for me during this COVID pandemic. So I basically have worked in the emergency room for years and owned a pediatric clinic. About 3 years ago, I closed down my pediatric clinic and I just worked in the emergency room for 3 years. Last year, I moved to Houston. I moved to Houston for about maybe 3 to 5 years, and I've been going back and forth to Louisiana to work in the emergency room. But once I got my Texas license, about this time last year, I acquired a walk-in clinic, kind of urgent care-like clinic, where you could see patients and I'll be able to do some of the procedures I do in the emergency room, like IV fluids, sutures, bust out boils, and just do some of these little procedures that I can do in the emergency room. And so it's kind of like urgent care, there have been so many studies that they have done to show that this thing does not work. And most of the studies you can link back up to money coming from Bill Gates. Minnesota University did a study to show that it does not work for prophylaxis. Totally messed up study. I call it fake science. They did not, their conclusion was does not work for prophylaxis. But that's not true. The study that they did it for patients that were exposed. When these patients were exposed, they gave them medication 4 days after exposure. They waited 4 days before they put these people on placebo or whatever. They did not have it with zinc. And then they now reported that, people got infected, and then boom, they sent out a report. They never even had enough people sign up for the study. They reported that, did not help people that were exposed to COVID. Now their conclusion is that doesn't work as prophylaxis. First of all, that is not what they were looking for. They were looking for did not work for people that were exposed 4 days after they were exposed. They didn't say that. Then, the minute that study came out, shortly, Bill Gates gave them 3-point-something million. The craziest part is doctors. Many doctors have this medication on board. Wow. I have personally put over 100 doctors. Personally, they call me from all over the place, all the states I'm licensed in. They call me all the time to put them on this medication, and I put them on the medication. They are friends and colleagues that have called in this medication, even in other states that are doctors. They are on this medicine, but they are too scared to treat patients. So what would I say to people in Canada, doctors in Canada that are hearing me, people that wake up, fight for just the way we fought, fight. Don't just sit down and let them kill your people. You know what I'm saying? We put everything on the line. I put my license, my life, everything on the line. People were scared for me that they were going to attack me, they're going to kill me. Well, they can't kill me. I'm a child of God. I'm God's battle axe.
Amen.
They can't kill me. But somebody has to fight. We already paved the way. You know something? We already became I already became the fall guy. Me and my colleagues, Simone lost her job. My Dr. Armstrong, the board came after them. Dr. Also, we've already put ourselves out there as the fall guys. You know what I'm saying? So you should not sit down and let them just destroy you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So doctors in Canada, wake up.
Yes.
Fight for your family. Fight for your people. If 2 or 3 doctors start fighting, others will join you.
Major news in the world of COVID-19 prevention and treatment. A study conducted at the University of Chicago and published this week in the Journal of the American Medical Association claims that vitamin D deficiency may have been a factor in the infections of COVID-19 patients. In fact, patients that had a vitamin D deficiency or those whose deficiencies were not treated were almost twice as likely to test positive for the coronavirus relative to those that had enough vitamin D. Why is this a major breakthrough? This means that those that are already vitamin D deficient, and this is the majority of the population by the way, may need only to take vitamin D supplements to boost their immune system to prevent from getting the coronavirus and successfully battle it if they've already been infected. This is great news because not only do vitamin D supplements have relatively no side effects, they also cost next to nothing compared to alternative treatments. The University of Chicago study isn't the first study to confirm this link. A European Union study published only days earlier confirmed the retrospective study in Chicago with its own results. The randomized, double-blind clinical trial gave some patients undergoing treatment for COVID-19 an analog for vitamin D called calcifediol, while others didn't receive it. The results were stunning, with 2% of patients who were part of the vitamin D group ultimately being admitted to intensive care, whereas 50% of those not getting vitamin D were admitted to intensive care. None of those that received the treatment died, while 7% who didn't get the calcifediol died. This might be an incredible breakthrough.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back.
So we made it to another 4th segment.
What do you think about the show so far?
Powerful. Of course, you know what? With everything that's taking place, the aim once again is just to make sure that our fans, our audience, our public,
our community,
right, is informed.
That's what we're doing.
And more importantly, again, if it happened outside of Canada, eventually it would happen here.
It's coming, guys.
Right? We spoke before regarding, like the lockdowns, the extreme measures that Australia and New Zealand have taken, right?
Yeah.
The Premier of Quebec is looking to take the same measures, right?
And that's just down the road.
Doug Ford said nothing is off the table. Tory just said we're looking at additional measures.
The words, the guys, the verbiage.
The refinement.
Jeez,
man. Anyways.
On a better and a happier note.
Especially with the season changing now, the solstice coming upon us, autumn, and of course, the dreaded winter. We all know how important vitamin D is, especially towards the melanated people, let alone, of course, globally, everybody.
Everyone needs it. Most of us are vitamin D deficient.
Right. So, and to hear this, it was like amazing to hear, right? And the reason why I say that is because we've had doctors, come on our show. I know you have interviewed a few doctors as well who continue to stress the fact how important vitamin D is, especially in regards to what's happening right now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, Grassroots Health, right? So they did a study which collaborated with Dr. William Grant and others to publish a paper titled Evidence that Vitamin D Supplementation Could Reduce Risk of Influenza and COVID-19 Infections and Deaths. Right?
Good to hear.
Right? So the relationship between vitamin D, immune function, and viral infections of the upper respiratory system, right? So now that there has been a time for the planning, execution, and analysis of several trials on vitamin D and COVID-19 outcomes, studies are now being published that provide direct evidence of the effect of vitamin D supplements, right, on COVID-19 patients, right, and the association of vitamin D intake and or its status on disease severity and death. So basically, in a nutshell, right, they've begun testing.
Yes.
Right, and more importantly, in regards to testing now, they're recording these measures, which is exactly what science does, right? That
You're
they have a
supposed to
theory,
do.
right? They record it, right, and then later on they go ahead and publish it.
Yes.
Right. So, just to continue on, right? One of the latest studies on vitamin D and COVID-19 published by Castillo and et al., or I guess and al. I guess,
Yeah,
right?
that's what it means. Et al means and all, and the rest of them.
Yes, whoever's there, right? Enrolled 76 COVID-19 patients hospitalized with symptoms of acute respiratory infection and randomized them to vitamin D treatment group, right? There were 45 men and 35 women with an average age of 53 years.
31 women.
Did I say 53 women?
You said 35.
I said 35?
It's just there's a lot of numbers.
It is, isn't it? 31 women, right? Once again, the average age of 53 years old, right? Their goal was to determine if early intervention with 25-OHD, the metabolite of vitamin D used to measure vitamin D status, could improve the outcomes of COVID-19 and reduce the need for intensive care unit admission.
That's right.
Right. So the study found that the administration of 25-OHD, right, at the early stages of COVID-19 significantly reduced the need for admission to the ICU.
Well, look at that.
Yes. Right. I think there's a chart that we may have.
No, I didn't add it.
We didn't add the chart?
No.
It's okay. We'll put it out there somewhere.
Sorry.
I wanted to see the chart. But anyways, I guess it was really, I mean, sometimes, of course, you know what, like, it's hit or miss in regards to what we need to go ahead and put out there as pictures.
I was tired. I just didn't load it up.
Right.
Just be real.
Sorry, I'm trying to help you out.
I know. It's okay. Let's just be transparent. I was tired.
All right.
And
So,
to load it.
In fact, of the 26 patients in the control group, 13 or 50% required admission to the ICU, with 2 resulting in death. While one patient out of the 50, which resulted in 2% in the vitamin D group, required admission to the ICU with no resulting deaths. Right? So, I mean, like, the study's out there.
Science is saying something.
Right? The doctors have been telling us.
That's just one study.
Yeah.
There are plenty studies saying the same thing. That hydroxychloroquine, zinc,
quercetin,
right? Vitamin C. Cannot forget vitamin C.
Absolutely.
Very essential. Just
right?
For example, today, well, Dave does it every morning. Dave now squeezes oranges for us, and we drink straight shots of vitamin C now. And today, what is this, Dave? What did you put in this today?
Pineapple, banana,
vitamin C,
and
no, that's potassium. Sorry,
potassium, right? Orange
juice. Okay,
right?
vitamin C.
We have a sea moss blonde, a special sea moss blonde. Yes.
I ain't getting no COVID. Shoot, I ain't getting nothing this year. Watch. Okay. So let's end the show on a bright note. And the note is that people are talking, more is being said, and the news is getting out there. So we have a lot of evidence, and this is a statement. We have a lot of evidence that it's a fake story all over the world. So this is from a group of German doctors on COVID-19. So let's talk about the facts. More than 500 German doctors and scientists have signed on as representatives of an organization called the Corona Extra Parliamentary Inquiry Committee to investigate what is happening on our planet when it comes to COVID-19. That just makes my heart sing. There's people taking action. So some things for us to reflect on. Why are so many professionals and experts in the field being censored? Okay, again, there's that censorship word, ridiculed and shut down by organizations like WHO. So, again, not the Wu-Tang Clan, because they wouldn't do that. Now, our cover article is about Dr. Stella Emanuel, and she's one of the doctors who is actually, if you get to watch one of our commercials, you'll see her. We actually give a clip about it. But this woman is very knowledgeable.
Yes.
She was actually endorsed by Donald Trump.
Which could be, a little threatening. I could see public perception.
I'm only saying that to say this. He endorsed her because he was taking it himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, right?
So that's what it is. You see that censure thing on her mouth. She was brought in. They were celebrated for that day only.
Mm-hmm.
Her video did so well that they pulled it down. And since then, she has been under attack, even though this woman has cured thousands of COVID patients.
Yes.
So it's good to see that there's doctors elsewhere coming out and talking about this.
Absolutely.
Any information that does not seem to come from the WHO, is not considered reliable, truthful, or accurate. And we could actually say the WHO, but I'm going to stick with the WHO. I like it. People are being encouraged to visit the WHO's website for real and accurate information, and only them, because they're the only ones who are right. They have all of the credible scientists in the world. They found them all.
Yes.
And they're working for them, okay? Now, in a statement, the Corona Extra Parliamentary Inquiry Committee was established to investigate all things that pertain to the new coronavirus, such as the severity of the virus and whether or not the actions taken by the governments around the world, and in this case, the German government, are justified and not causing more harm than they are good. So I'm going to end this with a bunch of questions for you guys, and I would love to hear your thoughts and responses behind it, okay? I put some of these in our description so you can see these questions again. If you do watch this, you're just watching this now. So we have to ask ourselves, why are so many experts in the field being completely censored, okay? In all these fields, why are journalists being censored? Why are medical doctors who have all type of PhD and degree being censored, okay? Why are scientists being censored? Why is this happening? Why is there so much information being shared that completely contradicts the narrative of our federal health agencies and organizations like you know who? Like how I did that, huh?
Nice.
Okay.
Not bad. Not bad.
Why are these experts being heavily censored, and why are alternative media platforms being censored, punished, and demonized for sharing such information? Yeah, guys, why? That's my question. What do we do to you guys? We're not troubling you. We're just sharing information. That's all we're doing. Is there a battle, do you think, for our perception? Is there a battle here going on? Is our conscious, is it possible that our walking life is being manipulated? These are questions you guys have to answer yourself. Is everything that comes from the TV the truth? The television, is it the truth? Why is there so much conflicting information if everything to them they say is supposed to be so crystal clear? Why does everything seem so mashed up? Why did last week, why were there halts to vaccine trials if everything was so crystal clear? Something's not right, guys. So we want to make sure you guys know that if you do want a voice, you have a voice here. We want you to know that. You have a voice. If you're disturbed this week, I spoke to many parents who are completely fed up with what's happening with the school system. They are frustrated. They are angry. They're fearful. They're disappointed. They're lost. They don't know what to do. And our goal here is to give them a voice because they don't have one. We have to speak for them. And the Ontario government needs to get it together when it comes to the schooling thing. You guys had months to plan this, and you guys still didn't realize it. Anyways, let's not go on another tangent. Guys, we welcome your thoughts. We welcome you guys to say what you need to say. Put it in the comments. Don't be afraid. Okay, you're not going to get censored here. We want to hear what you have to say. I was going to say don't come on top about how we should be wearing masks. We're still not going to censor you if you say that. We might ignore you, but we won't censor you. Okay, Dave, you have anything else before we leave these wonderful people on this Friday?
Thank you so much for joining us once again this week. Do everything to go ahead and protect your family, protect your babies.
Protect yourselves.
Yes.
Exercise. Get out there. Any sun you can get now, get out and get it.
Absolutely.
Go get your vitamin D pills. Dave and I started taking those this morning too. Guys, health, wealth, success, growth to everyone. Have a wonderful Friday, and we'll see you next week on A Better Tomorrow. Bye. Why aren't you saying bye, Dave? Say bye. Peace and love, family.
In terms of my journey began because of the fact that I created a massive multimedia platform, which is very well known. You might have heard of Dancing with Stars, Strictly Come Dancing, You Are What You Eat, 10 years younger. Now, there's a lot of controversy behind those shows because I'm the creator of those shows and I had a massive case, and that really was my awakening into the main stage that we're seeing now. They've been pushing social distancing in a huge way, but what people don't understand is the reason that they are socially distancing people is so that the cameras can actually be able to fix and build profile on everybody. And the reason why we are at such a critical time where we need everybody to be reporting this is because they are marching in using these draconian laws and measures to usher in what will be Nazi Germany slavery 2.0.